The What's Neat This Week video podcast is supported by enthusiastic model railroaders just like you. Additional support is provided by Athearn Trains. Check out all their new monthly announcements at athearn.com. And by Intermountain Railway Company, where the detail makes the difference. Check out their website at intermountain-railway.com.
Additional support for What's Neat This Week in Model Railroading is brought to you by Soundtrax, leaders in DCC and sound technology for over 30 years. Model Railroaders Reader's Choice Award winner 2 times for Favorite Sound Decoder. For more information, visit us at soundtrax.com. And special viewers in What's Neat This Week, use the code WNTW15 during the month of June 2020, and you will get 15% off of your orders placed at soundtrax.com.
Further support is provided by the NCE Corporation, the power of DCC. Visit their website at ncedcc.com. And thank you for supporting the What's Neat This Week podcast. This is the What's Neat This Week, show number 118 for June 6th, 2020. I'm your host, Ken Patterson, the host of the What's Neat show over at Model Railroad Hobbyist Magazine. And I'll tell you what, it was nice to have a couple of days off last week. Guys, you were there for it. We had a amazing storm come right up the Mississippi River. It was a very small storm, but it was focused, and we had 70-mile-an-hour winds hit the house right off the bluff. Took out a lot of trees on the property here and the neighbors and up and down the road. Plus, it blew out a very large window here on the piece of property, which is cracked and got to be replaced. So that was our weekend off. It was pretty amazing to stand there. And this all happened at 2 o'clock in the morning. I happened to be awake. And watching, so there's a little bit of video here that I just showed you guys of the guys cleaning up the trees out in the backyard. I've been having a lot of construction done down here. We've been running, I had an electrician come by this week. We ran some new wires for some outlets outside to make things a little more functional when we do a show outside. No extension cords, that's going to be nice. But the reason I'm bringing this up is the way that I've designed my layout, and I think I've talked about this before, is the fact that my modules set on top of tables. And that large river section and all of the modules on the river side of the basement had to be completely removed in order to string these wires up in the rafters, replace light bulbs and different things like that. And it's something that I could not have done if I built my layout permanently where the modules are non-removable. I simply got on top of the tabletop, which holds my weight quite easily because it's built like a brick, very strong house. And the fact is, I was able to do all of the construction down here without minimal effect on the layout. The layout simply sat on carts, and then I pulled the layout back into place. Here, the river modules getting put back into position again on the layout. Everything fit just the way it was supposed to. I had trains running within 5 days of the construction, and it was really nice to be able to do that, and without any, minimal amount of work. So that's what I suggest to a lot of folks out there. If you build a layout, make it so that the tops sit on top of tabletops built out of foam. A, it's lightweight, and B, if you ever have to move for construction or move because you're moving out of your home, it's really easy to take the layout with you. I know, James Regier, you're going to build a modular layout because at some point in the future, you're probably going to be getting a new home. And tonight I want to say I've got with me on the Skype, I've got George Bogatak, all the way from Durango, Colorado. Hello, George.
Hey, guys. How you doing?
I've got Michael Buddy down here on the bottom in the corner of the video. Hi, Mike.
Hi, how you doing?
We've got Daniel Coombs, DCC Daniel. Hey, Daniel.
Hello.
And, of course, James Regier, broadcasting all the way from out in the middle of Kansas this weekend. Is that right, James?
That's right. In my dad's basement. And, you were talking about the modular layout idea. This right behind me, as of last fall, was still layout space in this house. There was a flood in the basement, and my dad actually had to dismantle a lot of that old layout because it wasn't modular, and because the paneling and the sheetrock that he was going to have to replace because of the mold that would set in from that flooding, he had to move the layout. But it was constructed such that we couldn't do it. So. Kudos to Ken for planning ahead on that, and that's definitely the option that I'll be building my future layout with.
Absolutely fantastic, James. I want to say that we have a brand new logo for the What's Neat This Week in Model Railroading show, and that's exactly what the logo says. It says on there, What's Neat This Week in Model Railroading, because we noticed this winter when we had our jackets from Yelsma Graphics out down here in Florida, people didn't know what What's Neat This Week meant. They saw the logo, the Buzzsaw Missouri Pacific Herald, and the guy on the top with the two pairs of glasses. So, and I didn't design the logo. I want to thank very much William Sampson for designing this logo for us. He got hooked up with Joshua Barton this week, and we explained to him that we wanted the words in model railroading added to it. So look forward to new garb, new jackets and hats coming out with that new logo on it. I also want to thank very much Train World. Our friend Ken Bianco out there sent a whole box of coffee cups. So all of the guys on the show have got coffee cups. I didn't know they knew that we love coffee, but thank you very much, Train World and Ken Bianco out there for doing that for us, guys. When we finally do get back together in July, we'll be able to drink out of separate cups.
One quick thing I want to mention about Train World.
Go ahead, Daniel.
I got a box, I had an order, and I got an O-scale track because I'm going to make a giant Christmas train. So I sent the order in for 12 pieces of curves, got them within 3 days of shipping. So Train World is very fast, their customer service was very reliable, and I loved them. And yeah, Train World is a good place to go from.
That's awesome.
And I'll just say too that one of the things that we mentioned last time about Train World, and it's still going on, is that because we didn't have our convention here in St. Louis, we won't be having it because of COVID-19. They've actually been one of those sources to step up and have virtual conventions and discussions with manufacturers and clinics online, live through Facebook, just to help keep the model railroading going in a time when we can't all be together at our summer conventions that we're so fond of.
It's kind of getting back to normal in the state of Missouri. They've lifted the lockdown. I was out yesterday to run to the hardware store, and there was traffic on the road, so everything's starting to get back to normal. And I'm figuring in July, we'll actually all be sitting down here around the table again, and I do look forward to that. That's going to be a good day. We've got a major announcement from Athearn, and this is quite honestly something I've been waiting for and hoping for a long time to happen, and that is the announcement of the ADM 103/P42 locomotives. I've got 3 of the locomotives on the table here that are the ready-to-roll models. And previous to this announcement, these models have only been available in ready-to-roll, no sound, no fancy lighting, no speakers, all that great stuff. Now these are coming out with LED lights, Tsunami 2 sound. I mean, this is great, guys. 2 28mm speakers are going to be in each unit. This is now in the Genesis line of locomotives, Athearn's top of the line, the P42 locomotives, and they're coming out in multiple paint schemes. I've got the flyer on the table, and it's absolutely amazing. I'll run the screen capture right now and show you the PDF that's been announced at athearntrains.com. Y'all can look at this and pick out the units that is your favorite Amtrak locomotive. These, of course, are used currently by Amtrak, and they're the primary locomotive still running through the country and pulling freights. A 4,250 horsepower locomotive that's quite capable with head-end power to power up all the electricity in your passenger cars. This is going to be a great addition to the Athearn line. Thank you very much, Athearn Trains, for coming out with this model. I've also got 2 SD70 ACE locomotives on the table, and this is one of my favorite paint schemes. It looks dynamite in outdoor photography. I've shot these previously, like last year I had a set of these, and I love them with sound in them. And they just look dynamite in outdoor sunlight as I'm showing you these photos right now. But these locomotives I shot this week outside, we've had a couple of sunny days, and they again look dynamite out in the sun. I shot number 1207, I did a front shot of that, and then 1207 I did a really nice side photograph of it. And the next number unit I have is 1206. All of these units again are these units that we have don't have sound in them. So what I'm going to talk about tonight, and you guys love it when we do kind of a how-to quick segment on the show to explain how to do things in modeling. I put some new decoders in these units, not sound decoders, because not everything I run down here has sound in it. And I put in some D16 MTC decoders from NCE. NCE sells a lot of other products besides the wonderful DCC systems that we have on the table that we love so much. Check out their website, and that's where I found found these 21-pin decoders. And the process of installing these into the locomotives was actually quite simple. I simply removed the coupler boxes on the front of the units, pulled out the couplers, and then there are 2 screws on each unit just adjacent to the fuel tank. And with that, pulling out these screws allowed me to pull off the shell, revealing the motherboard that holds the 21-pin circuit board that's already on there. You pull off that circuit board, and there is where I was able to push on the brand new D16 MTC NCE 21-pin decoders. So that worked out really fast. After I got that, you firmly make sure that all the wires are tucked back into the shell as you put the shell back onto the top of the locomotive, and then simply put in the 2 screws right next to the fuel tank, and then put in the coupler boxes with the couplers of your choice. Now, Athearn comes with these beautiful scale McHenry couplers that are compatible with Kadee couplers, but on my layout, I like to use number 5 couplers because some of my track work isn't perfect. So I like those great big hunkering number 5s. They don't look good in photography, but they're reliable. And so that was a quick video expose of how to put a 21-pin decoder in a DCC-ready locomotive that doesn't have sound. You know, it's just a regular DC model ready to run on DC. But I wanted, again, to run these on my layout with my NCE system. And so that's what I did. Now, George, it's awesome to have you on the show tonight. I know that you're going to talk probably about Soundtrax decoders and give us some talk about DCC, aren't you?
Just a little bit. Why not, right?
Right.
Yeah.
So one thing I'll add to that installation, it's a very quick, easy installation. But we also do have a 21-pin motor decoder as well that plugs right into that 21-pin, so that way you have the same motor control characteristics as you do with your sound decoders that are already installed into the model. So there's a lot of different options out there, and you know we've tried to make things as quick and easy as well by offering that 21-pin motor decoder.
And that doesn't have sound, right? That's just a regular. I did
Correct.
not know that. I need to get on your website and check that out. Now, you've got a major announcement about the viewers of the show and the fact that you guys are offering a new program for the viewers of the show. You want to talk about that?
Sure. We'll touch briefly on that. So one of the things we talked about last time was we announced our 8-function PNP decoders, and we had given everybody a 10% discount using the What's Neat, and we've seen a lot of you guys use it, so thank you very much. But for the month of June, we want to extend a special appreciation, and we're going to up that by 5%. So for the month of June at Soundtrax.com, if you type in the code WNTW15, you will actually get 15% off of your purchase at Soundtrax.com. This is everything, including all the Tsunami decoders, the Tsunami 2 decoders, the Econami, the motor decoder line, Soundcar, all our accessories, and everything that you can find online, including the new 8-function PNPs, which were just listed on the website this week. We announced them, and we were selling them through retailers for the first month exclusively, but they're online now. But as things are opening up and everybody's starting to go, we definitely do encourage you to go to the retailers. One of our partners, you mentioned them earlier, Train World, they do stock a lot of decoders. So, Daniel, when you're ordering your track, you throw a decoder or 2 in there on your order as well, and he'll ship that all to the same place for you.
Might as well.
That's awesome. A 15% discount for the What's Neat This Week viewers, and they have to enter WNTW15 in order to get that. Is that right?
Yes, WNTW15 for What's Neat This Week and 15. And remember, that's only good for the month of June, so be sure you use that before the June expires.
Okay, month of June.
Let's
That's
see,
awesome.
I got...
While you're talking about decoders, I just wanted to ask you, one of the things, digging through my dad's house, I found this, it's an old barn find that an uncle of mine had from the 1940s. It's a crank locomotive. As you see, it has a primitive decoder in it already. Wow. It has a bell. And so I was just wondering what decoder you would recommend for this. I think it's a Marx locomotive.
Wow, I don't think I've seen one of those in years. We'll have to look at the inside of that thing and see what we can come up with.
Oh, that'd be a good experiment for that O-scale world.
Probably
Well,
the
we do.
decoder, I suppose.
Yeah, there you go. Well, we do have the TSU 4400 for the O scalers and large scale guys. It's a 4
Right.
amp decoder that plugs right. It's all screw terminals, so there's no soldering really required. But I don't think that would fit in that one.
That's
Yeah.
You got
Uh,
something
what-
that would fit in this engine, George?
Oh yeah, look at that. Those are
The
those nice Intermountain GP10s. Those
Right.
are actually really cool locomotives. I almost wish the Mopac had a couple of them because they're kind of unique and
Right.
neat.
Yeah.
Right.
But the good thing is that model will be equipped with a 21 pin. So our TSU 21P NEM is going to be the best option for it, and it'll plug right into the socket, similar to what Ken did with that SD70. And then the only thing you'll have to do is just mount the speaker inside the enclosure or wherever they have the provision and wire that to the motherboard. Now, little secret about this is that our EMD-2, there's a little bit of confusion as to what it is, but basically the EMD-2 is a second collection of EMD prime movers. The original EMD is still there, and it has all of the main the most common prime mover versions. For example, the EMD 567 non-turbo. There's a version of it with the transition, and then there's a switcher version that was recorded off of an SW8 with a non-transition. And then
Wow.
there's some other different versions of the 567, including turbocharged, and then the dual 567 for the E series. But the EMD2 has a few other different versions of the 567, some of the more unique finds. And for example, one of them is a 12-cylinder 567 that, Mike, I know you've seen this locomotive from me before, but this is my little SW1200. And this one's got that 12-cylinder 567. And the really cool thing about that one is that sounds almost Alco-ish when you hear it. It kind of has that loping to it. But the key point of why I brought it up is because that GP10 is a 16-cylinder 567, but has a different exhaust stack on it. And it's a little known fact that that's actually the recording on the EMD2 for the 567 non-turbo is the GP10. So that way you can get the exact sound for that exact model on that on that 567 on the EMD2. So that 21P NEM install is going to be quick and easy for you.
Okay.
It's as simple
So
as
then-
1, 2, 3.
Yeah, so I'm sure you can do it, Mike, or I'm sure Daniel will be happy to help you.
I'm
Yeah,
sure.
I'll help you out, Mike. No worries.
All right.
I got you.
I know.
So
Daniel and George, what type of DCC system would you guys suggest for Mike? Something to help him get into it. You know what? I'm gonna commit right now. Whatever you say, I'm gonna buy it for him. Let's do that. Let's take.
I
Let's
want to
get
use
him.
the same
Vote.
thing you guys are using.
NC Power Cab, Mike. Okay, let's just
Right.
go that way.
So the power cab's the one where it's got a small wall transformer that you plug in and you can run right. And what's that called? That's called the
Yeah.
power cab. So what's the one on the table I've got that we use for the
The
big layout?
NCE Pro Cab, Ken, because you
Cab?
got the full 5-amp wireless system along with some of the additional universal panels similar to a Digitrax UP5 or any other like general plug-in panel
So you
to the
guys-
citation of the
okay.
layout.
So if we do this, Mike, that means all these engines down here that, you know, you've got a Frisco engine behind me right here that you haven't even taken
Right.
home yet, but you can run this with sound on your layout. I mean, how do you do it now? Do you use a DC power pack to make these work?
Yeah. I don't even really run the DCC engines on my layout. I still have a bunch of old DC stuff, but I've got probably close to 20 DCC engines that I really can't use yet. So I'd like to program those so I can come over and use them at your house.
That's what
Like
you do.
Daniel
I
did
know.
that one
Well,
at
well, Mike,
Frisco A and B.
I
Oh
tell
yeah, I remember those.
that
Yeah.
step to DCC. Daniel and I can certainly help you get your stuff converted. That's the
Okay, James, you do the
Yeah.
lighting because I can't master that lighting that you've got, but then I'll do the DCC. How about that?
sounds like a deal.
So it's
Well,
gonna it'll
let
be
me-
easy to
let-
connect.
Yeah.
let me interject a little bit here for you, Mike. This may help you out. First of all, obviously you can see here, we've talked about it before on the show. I have the NCE Power Cab at home.
Mm-hmm.
Now, granted, my layout, you guys have done a tour of it via video, but it's 20 foot long and 2 foot wide. So, I mean, it's not very deep to get back to the back wall here. It's not a very big layout, but the power cab is more than enough power for it. It does everything that you need to do with DCC. But where I want to go with this is I want to encourage you to visit our YouTube channel, Soundtrax Videos. We have a webinar series. And the webinar series is taken from our training classes that we've offered here in Durango, Colorado in the years past. And it really walks you through everything, starting with just what is DCC and how does it work? And we reveal a little green man behind the curtain to kind of show exactly what's happening. And the reason I do this is because, I mean, we take phone calls all the time with questions from customers and you know, retailers alike, and they just wonder some things. And there's a lot of common questions that we get. And the idea of this, what is DCC and how does it work? The whole point of it is to explain what's actually happening, because in DC analog mode, we can put a meter on the rails. We turn the voltage up, and our meter reads a higher voltage, and we can see that it's actually working. But on DCC, we can't put a meter on there to read the DCC commands that are going through. So we immediately assume it's a little bit more complicated than a traditional power pack. And it's really very simple and rudimentary communication system. And so that webinar video series will help you out a lot. We talk not only just about what is DCC, but there's other ones on there, just what is sound and what's the best way to get the most out of your sound. We talk about how to solder. We talk about how to do a decoder installation. And here's why I bring this up partially also is we actually have a step-by-step video on how to use the 3 major DCC systems out there and show you button press by button press, step by step, so that way you can be familiar with it, because there's a lot of people out there that have a basic understanding of how to make a train run, but when it comes to accessing some of the functions or some of the features, they kind of shy away because the manuals are very dry. I'm going to tell you straight up, when I bought my first DCC system, this was so many years ago, I took it home, and this was long before I had the name on my shirt, by the way. And I put it home. I opened the book and started reading it and went, oh, dear God, what did I get myself into? My rail command works just fine. And so I said, well, I'll put this down and do it later. 2 years. 2 years went by. And I hear more and more stuff about DCC. You hear about clubs converting, things like that. And I finally said, you know what? I've done the hard part. I've invested the money. Now I just need to learn how to use it. So I went back with a fresh, open mind, went through and read the book. And it is very dry reading. And that's part of why we did those videos, is because we wanted to help give you that confidence and to learn how to do it, because this is your gateway to get the most out of this.
Right.
If you're not sure how to use the DCC system, then you become more limited in how you operate your trains. And so at Soundtrax, we're very committed to customer service, education, and of course making the best product out there. And all of those things come together to help make us, you know, the leader in model train electronics and model train sound, especially. Model Railroader Reader's Choice Award winner 2 years in a row for favorite sound decoder is a pretty big feather in the cap, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And especially, there's a lot of great decoders out there. There's a lot of good stuff out there, but ours is the cream of the crop. And so we want to make sure that you guys are enjoying your trains, and we want to make sure that we have as much information out there so that you can just relax, enjoy your trains, and get the most out of your decoders.
Speaking of enjoying my trains, George, I just want to say kudos. I probably got a fleet of about 25 so engines, and all of them have at least Soundtrax Mobile or Soundtrax Tsunami 2 or Tsunami 1s or Economy decoders.
That's awesome.
3 other sound card decoders, and I also, of course, do my own installs with my own Facebook page, Jane Coombs Consulting, where I'll help you out. And I have done just nothing but Soundtrax installs. So I tell guys, it's like, look, you know, Soundtrax, it's easy. You open up the engine, whatever you got, maybe a little modification here. They're like this after, you know, Blue Box. I had to kind of mill out the top here of the dynamic brake housing, and George put one of your guys' 9-pin mobile decoders in here because I didn't want to fuss with sound in this particular engine. But overall, works great. LEDs, I'm done.
That's awesome. That's awesome, guys. Let me take you on a sunrise expose. This morning I worked all through the night and did a sunrise photo shoot. If you look on the table here, I've got two absolutely beautiful Intermountain auto racks. These are the ones that have got the see-through screens. So what I had to do was set up on the upper hill this morning. That was today, actually. Sunrise was at 5:37, and the sun, we're almost at the longest days of the year now. We're getting close to June 21st, whereas the sun really rises almost way north to the perspective of what we're used to in the wintertime, where it's straight out with the river out here. So I had to set up on the upper tier area of the property in order to capture that sun. And what I wanted to do was capture it coming through these auto racks, because these auto racks have got see-through panels on them, just like the brass models that we used to see in the 80s. Intermountain has really nailed it with these things, and I wanted to capture the beauty of that. Of course, I shot some outdoor standard photography in regular sunlight that you guys are all used to seeing of the Union Pacific model here, and also of the BNSF model. And these are bi-level auto racks, and the doors open and close on them. So I've got photographs of the doors open and closed on these. But the amazing thing was seeing the sun in still photography shining through these screens. I shot a couple of photographs. Actually, I shot about 35 and picked out the best 2 of them. And then I also did something that I did with one of Mike's auto rack loads a long time ago, where we got your automobiles to reflect the sunlight on the side, because if you line up the tracks just right, I'm showing that picture right now. I did the same thing with these Intermountain units. Check out the screens, how they reflect the sunlight on these units. Absolutely,
Oh my gosh.
absolutely
Amazing.
beautiful.
What I'd
Intermountain,
like to see, what I'd like to see sometime is these auto racks with Mike's cars in them, with some of your photography, because I mean that would be the spot on real auto rack car experience right there, because I mean you can already see the framework through the sides of these cars. They're absolutely beautiful, but they just beg to have a well-made car load in them.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
No, Intermountain told me that these models are all sold out from Colorado in their factory and in their headquarters, so that if you want to be able to get them, you've got to contact your favorite dealer in order to find them. All the dealers and all the distributors have purchased these, snapped them right up. But you know what? They're nice. And I remember back in the 80s, we would be paying up to $225 to $250 for a brass auto rack. And those puppies were heavy when you started making up a train. These are actually very lightweight, and you can put together a good train of, say, 15 or 20 of these, and it's not going to be overwhelmingly heavy for your consist to pull. So hats off to Intermountain, guys. You did it again. I absolutely love these. These are some of the most favorite models that I got excited about. We were going to feature them on the show 2 weeks ago, but they arrived a little bit late, so I wanted to have them on the table tonight just to make sure that we covered them, because they deserve it. So thank you very much, guys. I got James Regier and Mike, starting with James. I guess you're out in Kansas. You're hanging out with your dad. Tell me, have you been working on any projects?
Well, so I did some more work on perfecting the programming on that Trackmobile. Then I went to Newton, and they have in the mill complex there, in the Ross Mill complex, which is now belongs to Ardent Mills. They had one of those Trackmobiles, a little bit different make, so I took a few prototype photos just to look at what I was dealing with, see what you could see from track level, because there are a few tricks up my sleeve yet that I'd rather discuss after I've made them work. George knows about them, but after I've made them work, then talk about them beforehand and then have them flop. So there are a few experiments left to do on this yet. But so I took some prototypes of that, but I also took some prototype photos of the Ross Mill itself, because I have this Walthers Red Wing Mill model building that I'm wanting to build, and the dream for this building is to actually try and animate the lighting in it somewhat, so that you can sort of see the shifting back and forth that you can sort of see through the windows of the flour mill. Maybe even try and get an audio recording of the flour mill itself, so that you could have, the sounds of the mill and elevator complex right there on the layout. So I've just been sort of dreaming of this project for a long time, and so I was out taking prototype photos.
Awesome.
And of course, and there's been some nice Kansas sunsets. I mean, that's one thing. That's one of the really nice things. Ken has the bluff where you're just looking out straight east for the sunrise, unobstructed view for hundreds of miles. And in Kansas, it's the same way. The skies that you see out in the edge of your vision are hundreds of miles away, and you get the sun filtering through all those clouds and all that atmospheric interference, and it just produces stunning results. So I've had fun trying to photograph some of that.
Nice.
But I've also been trying to catch a few trains now and then. I went to Wadle Acres, which is now a complete building, a very nice replica of a Santa Fe small town station with the floor plan from Pauline, Kansas. Didn't catch any trains there, though, but Depot was beautiful. Caught a couple trains in Hutchinson this morning, a 2-mile stack train led by 5 Union Pacific locomotives on the old Rock Island Golden State route, and 2 more in the middle, and as well as some good weathering photos and that kind of thing. So it's been fun. I haven't really been spending any time at the workbench. Unfortunately, I've definitely been missing that these past couple weeks. But I've definitely been thinking about prototype things, and hopefully providing a lot of interesting photos for you guys here. So
that's really cool there, James. As Stripe joins the show for the very first time, she's actually jumped on the show table here. She's hanging out with me now. So yes, Stripe, it's nice to have you sitting here at the table. I need you to get down though. Mike, you wanted to talk about some models tonight. What have you got going on?
Yeah, I got something from Bob Johnson at Masterbuilt Models. He wanted me to put the crawl up on the screen, but I just put that there so you could get a quick glance of it. But he sent me a bunch of these heat shields for tractor trailers. And it's a really nice detail item with tiny perforated holes. And I sent some pictures over to Ken. The first one is a Montfort truck, which George is probably familiar with, the Montfort of Colorado trucks out there. I know they haven't been around for a while, but back in the 80s and 90s, man, they were always in the fast lane, and they always had sharp, classy trucks. But if you close up on that exhaust stack, shows the one style that is for Freightliner trucks. And then I think the next truck I had is a tan and white Campbell 66 truck. It's a GMC tractor, and they use the aftermarket style with round holes in it. And then I got a Kenworth, a black Kenworth truck, and I think Bob said they used the vertical holes. I'm not sure. However, I put it on there, but anyway, they make 3 different styles, and they originally came flat, and they were really hard to bend into a circular shape. Well, they made a tool now where they can preform these, and for the customers that that bought the old ones, the flat ones, and haven't used them, they're running an exchange program. You could send your flat ones back in to Masterbuilt Models, and with 50 cents, I think is the cost for the exchange, and they'll send you the preformed ones. So that's pretty cool. I think that's a really neat detail item on trucks. It really dresses them up without doing much else.
How about that?
So I got one other little project here. It's a Vespa. I don't know if you can see it, but anyway, it has to do with a music album, and I'll just let people guess what it is until I get it finished. But hopefully, when I get it done, the people that know what it is will recognize it immediately. So that's a secret little project I'm doing.
How about that?
That's a foreign language word to me.
Daniel, are you a music trivia guy?
No, not at all.
Me neither.
No.
My connection is really bad. I hope I'm not talking over you guys or anything, but everything keeps freezing up and the voices are all distorted, so I can't even tell what you're saying.
The internet. Yes, I was told that Charter here in St. Louis, in the county here, has kind of been down tonight, and I was hoping to make it through the show. So far, so good. You froze a couple of times, Mike. George did too, but that's okay. George, is there anything else you want to add before we close out this one, number 118?
No, I'd just say it's always great to be here anytime. And if anybody does have any Soundtracks questions, feel free to call us, reach out, email us. We're always happy to help answer anything we can to help you guys keep on enjoying our products.
No, that's awesome. All right, Daniel Coombs, James Regier, Mike Buddy, and George Bogatak, thank you so much for helping us do number 118, guys. This is the What's Neat This
You're
Week
welcome.
show in model railroading, show number 118, saying over and out. And guys, let's go run some trains.
All right.
All right.
Hey,
That sounds
guys.
like fun.